Welcome to the Journey Church. We're an online church for people everywhere. And this is episode 6 in the Why series. And right behind me is the amazing Kootenai River. So today we're going to do something that I bet you have wanted somebody else to do for a long time. Actually admit that the Bible can be really confusing. I don't know of anybody that's started reading the Bible and hasn't felt confused or frustrated or maybe even bored with it altogether. The truth is, there's a lot to learn when it comes to understanding this book and what it's all about. It can be overwhelming. And I think that's why so many people quit before they ever get started. That's also why it's so valuable to have a guide, right? Somebody that you trust to help you get started, to walk with you and help you learn how to navigate all of the twists and turns in here, to unravel the confusing parts and help you get clarity and confidence so that you actually understand what you're reading and how it applies to you. If you love the idea of having a guide to help you learn the Bible, then you are in the right place. Be sure you subscribe to our channel, like this video, and go to the link in the description for more information about signing up for our free weekly guide service where we deliver tips and training right to your email. And best of all, we break it all down in plain English, no religious jargon, no Christianese, and it's free. We've been working our way through the Gospels and asking a lot of questions. And today, I want to unpack something that I think gets a lot of people confused when they start reading through those first 4 books in the New Testament. By the way, that's what we call the Gospels, those first 4 books. And it's pretty common for people to read through them and start to notice all these different accounts of when and where Jesus called the disciples to follow him. And so really that's the question today. Why does it seem like Jesus calls the disciples several times? What's up with that? Let's dig in. Well, I think a lot of people have the idea that Jesus is just walking along the water's edge one day and he sees these young guys out there fishing and he just shouts out to them to drop their nets and come and follow him. And as we read, much to our surprise, they do. And the thing is, when we think that it happens that way, it creates all sorts of problems for most of us, right? First of all, it really puts you on the spot personally. I mean, if this is somehow the way it works, like Jesus just shows up in your life and completely out of the blue asks you to stop everything you're doing, to quit your job, radically change your life and start following him, it's like, whoa, hey, that's a lot, right? And let's be honest, probably not too many people are going to actually be on board with that plan. So when you think that that's the way it looks for Jesus to call somebody to follow him, it's easy for you to be like, I'm going to opt out, right? That's just not for me. And there's another problem that you'll encounter. You're going to start reading the Bible, and then you'll see in Matthew where Jesus calls the disciples to come and follow him. And then in different places, there are similar stories, but the details are a little bit different. And then you try reading Mark or Luke or John, and guess what you find? More different stories. And I don't know about you, but when I hear 4 people telling different stories and they don't seem like they really line up, it makes me more skeptical, probably, than more confident. So I want to help you learn what's really going on here. And listen, it's really, really important, because what you believe about how you actually get started following Jesus is a big deal. If you believe it starts with quitting your job and completely rearranging your life, then you're probably never going to start following him. So let's make some sense of all this and see if we can help you get some clarity about how the disciples really got started following Jesus. Well, in order to do that, I'm gonna have to introduce you to a couple of new friends that we met along our journey as we've been traveling. They invited us over and they were so kind to share their story. I want you to pay careful attention as they share to what happened to them before they actually got married, like what was going on in their life before the wedding. So with that, it's time for you to meet our new friends, Jesse and Katie.
Start now?
Yep.
Okay. Hi, my name is Jesse and I'm 47. And the first time marriage crossed my mind, I was probably about 23, 24. That's about the time I decided I wanted to have a wife and start a family. So that's kind of when it got important to me, and I knew that I hadn't met the person yet that I wanted to marry. So it was kind of the back of my mind, but still kind of working its way to the forefront of it.
I'm Katie Banning. I am 38 years old and been married to Jesse for 18 years. I probably started thinking about marriage when I was 15. I had my first boyfriend in high school and I just wanted that to be it. I wanted to be married to this first person I ever dated, and obviously that didn't work out, and I'm very grateful for that. But I've always kind of wanted to just be in a relationship, be with my soulmate. And so I was probably 15 when that happened.
So when I finally met Katie, my wife, before I met her, I was pretty much had no plan, no clue where I was going, what I was doing, kind of lost, had no direction, didn't really have any kind of future plan, had no game plan. I was just living minute by minute pretty much, just trying to get by, not trying to get ahead, not really caring. And then when I met my wife, that pretty much totally changed, and I pretty much credit her for that. I always tell her that she saved me, because back then I was lost. I was no direction at all.
You look like somebody.
Oh, we didn't have a table, so we had to sign it on my back.
When I first met Jesse, I had just turned 19, and I was in a place where I wanted to be married. I wanted to have my forever, and I spent a lot of time making sure that I had my ducks in a row, making sure that I had my emotions in line, and I wanted the marriage. I wanted to be married. I wanted to have the happy family. I wanted a baby and a baby boy and a baby girl, and I just wanted, this happy little family, and I was ready for that, I thought.
You want me to start, and then her guys? I'll start, then you chime in.
Okay.
So when we first started dating, we weren't really dating. We were having phone calls every night. I remember I worked at a sawmill and I had to be to work at 6 in the morning, and we'd be on the phone from about 8 o'clock at night till about 3 in the morning till our cell phones died. And we were discussing—
Before smartphones.
Yeah, before smartphones, and stupid little flip phones. And they only lasted not very long. And we would talk about what we wanted, because we decided that if we were gonna date, we were gonna be 100% sure that we both wanted the same thing, because I was in a spot where I didn't want to waste her time, and she was in a spot where she didn't want to waste my time. So we talked for hours every night, and on weekends we'd hang out, and yeah, it was.
We were just friends. We only wanted to be just friends, but we both knew that who we weren't fooling anybody.
And then about 3 months of talking, 2 months of talking, I asked her out, and she told she was going to California to visit her grandma, her family there, and she said she would answer me when she got back in 6 days. But I smoked back then, so she told me I had 6 days to quit smoking or she wouldn't date me. So I quit smoking in that 6 days. And I picked you up at the airport.
Yep, with flowers and no smoking.
Yeah.
And we live happily ever after.
Oh, yeah. Favorite dating story?
Are we talking about sex?
No,
Or
dating
just
store.
dating?
Dating store. So then when we started dating, we pretty much knew. I mean, we just we always go to like Hastings. So it was pretty easy to date. And then I proposed to her Christmas Eve, I believe.
We started dating July 1st
Yeah, I proposed to
of
her.
20,
14? No, 12, 13.
20, like, no, 03.
Oh, 03, yeah.
And then we were engaged Christmas Eve.
And I told her that I'm gonna give her till August to decide if she actually really wants to marry me. So we planned the marriage for the wedding in August. And that way she knew, I knew that I knew. I had no questions in my mind.
I knew
I wanted
too.
to make sure that she knew.
He's gun shy.
Yeah, no, I wasn't gonna. I knew what I wanted, but I wanted to make sure that it was what she wanted. So I gave her till August. I even told her that the night I proposed to her, and she said yes, that I would give you till August to decide if you really want to do this.
I did.
But dating was really easy for us. It was really, yeah, it was really good. Really.
Yeah, I think we were together all the time. We talked all the time. We wanted to be together all the time.
We hated being
And
separated.
we probably should have gotten married at that August, but you know.
Yeah, but I had a different look on marriage at that time than you did, so I wanted you to be
We
sure.
spent a lot of time. We went to church together and got to know each other and got to know each other's friends and family and got married 13 months after
Yeah.
we started dating. This is the longest kiss of all times. It made everybody cringy.
Yeah.
So knowing what I know now, people ask a lot because we've had a lot of trials over 18 years and job losses and
Almost
losing Piper and
losing homes.
losing homes and jobs and
But there's like little things that I would have said differently to you that would have stopped a lot of. But of major things, there's
learning to
nothing.
communicate would have
Yeah.
been better, I think.
Definitely learning how to be a better Christian husband back when we first got together.
Learning how to react when I didn't like something, maybe.
Yeah, learning. But I mean, everything that we went through made us us, and I know that we never faltered, we never turned on each other, we were always together. We were a team. It was never really.
There was never a question of whether or not we were going to last through the foreclosure or
almost losing the child.
the kids or the.
Yeah, we
There was
never faltered on each other. So no, I wouldn't change anything because it was just the way it was supposed to be.
I think so.
What I really like about you, can't say on camera.
Yes, you can.
Your butt.
This is all marriage.
No, I like you're a phenomenal mom and you're a great partner. And your smile and your laugh. Whenever you laugh, I love your laugh. It's a contagious laugh.
You are fiercely loyal. And you're sexy.
Okay, that's a couple's
And you
retreat.
have great eyelashes.
I do have good eyelashes. I do. I've been told that a lot.
You're a good kisser. And you're so supportive of your kids and me. And everybody
like you
around.
guys. Kind of like you guys, yeah.
I like you.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to Jesse and Katie for inviting us into their home, feeding us, and just being so real and transparent with their story. I loved hearing the things that they said about the ways that they got to know each other and built a relationship really before the wedding. How they took the time to count the cost, right? And ask each other if they were really ready. Are they really sure? And they shared about all those crazy phone calls and late night conversations. And can you just imagine the amount of words and stories that those two would have shared while they were dating? Well, I'm kind of nerdy, so I took a minute and figured it out. The average person speaks about 100 to 120 words a minute. And based on the time that they dated and how much they talked together each day, it's safe to say that they exchanged 8 to 10 million words before they were married. I mean, that would be the equivalent of reading the entire Bible together 12 times. I think they knew each other pretty well before the wedding. Now, back to the Bible. What we see happening as we work through those first 4 books is several accounts of Jesus interacting with and inviting his disciples to come and follow him, which can be a bit confusing at first glance. But what you need to know is that each of these 4 books is written by one of Jesus's disciples, and each one of them has their own unique personality, and they each also have kind of a slightly different motive in mind for why they're writing the account that they're writing and how everything goes in their details. For example, Matthew's account was directed towards his own people, the Jews. So his approach includes more things that relate to the Jewish culture, tradition, and writing style, which is very different from those of us in the US or Canada and how we would write an account like this. So it's important to recognize that you're reading 4 different accounts of eyewitnesses that are describing what happened as Jesus began his ministry. And each of those writers has their own style and purpose in mind. So naturally, you're going to notice some things that look similar and some things that seem a little bit different. So with that in mind, let's break down how it looked for those very first disciples to start following Jesus. All of the scripture references are going to be in the description, and we have an awesome free study guide to go along with this episode to help you dig in and really learn directly from God and his word. So it went something like this. John the Baptist was calling people out to the wilderness, and he was talking to them about repenting and getting their hearts right, ready to meet Jesus. We did a really cool episode, by the way, about this, and it was filmed in a barn full of draft horses. So if you did not see that one yet, make sure you check it out. There'll be a link above and in the description. So back to John. He's getting quite a following, and along comes Jesus. He gets baptized by John. That sort of marks the beginning of Jesus's public ministry. And not long after that, some of the guys that had started following John the Baptist noticed Jesus walking by one day. Well, a couple of them started following Jesus. A little weird, kind of stalky, probably a little bit like people following Justin Bieber or Taylor Swift trying to get a closer look at him. But Jesus handled things a lot different than they would have. He turns around and he notices them following him, and so he asks them something like, "Hey guys, I noticed you were following me. What's up?" Well, they're a little shocked and probably can't muster up much, so they just ask him, where is he staying? So Jesus invites them to come along and see. And that invitation to come and see, no strings attached, no give it all up, no new rules, just a good old-fashioned invite to come along. Man, that invitation did something really cool. It made those first couple of guys feel really welcome and invited. And it seems like they felt it was a pretty open invitation. So they start spreading the word to some of their friends. And before you know it, there are a bunch of young guys showing up around Jesus to see what he's all about. Well, at this point, he still doesn't give them any ultimatums, and he doesn't ask them to give anything up or leave anything, but he does give them a little sneak peek about what they can expect to see in the future if they stick around. And then, not long later, Jesus had been invited to a wedding, and so he encouraged these new friends that were following him to come along with him. Well, it turns out to be one heck of a party, and afterwards, Jesus invites all of his new friends back to his personal home. They meet the family, they eat, they spend the night, and in the morning they get to see who the morning people are and who the morning people are not. I'm one of the not morning people. And from about this point on, these people that were following Jesus started to be called disciples. And it's just a word that refers to a student following a teacher. In our culture, we would probably call them apprentices. So these apprentices of Jesus, they stick with him. They're learning from him, they're traveling with him, and from time to time, they're not with him, right? They're back fishing and working. So you'll see these different accounts of Jesus coming across them out fishing again and calling them back to come and follow him again. And so they do. But remember, they're responding to someone that they already know, they've spent time with, and have learned from. Well, it's not until well into their time together that we see a story about Jesus standing on the shore of the Sea of Galilee, and he's doing some teaching. There are some pretty big crowds gathering around, and so Jesus looks over and he sees a couple of boats that belong to one of the guys that has been following him on and off. So Jesus calls out to this guy, Simon, and asks if he can use his boat as a place to teach from. So Simon helps Jesus into the boat, and then they drift out a little ways away from the shore where it's easier for his voice to carry to this big crowd that's gathering along the shore. And then after he wrapped up the lesson, he asks Simon to put out further into the deeper water. And you see, Jesus is setting them up in a way. He's about to call them to really commit, a little bit like a lot of guys do when they're getting ready to ask the big question, the will you marry me question, right? Guys plan this whole event, the where, the what, the what's going on around them, the date, the whole environment. And why do we do that? Because it's one of the most important life-changing questions we're ever going to ask another human being, right? It's a big deal. It's also full of emotions and this deep sense of love for the other person. And we like the idea of them remembering the whole experience. My nephew recently had been planning to propose for his fiance for a long time, but he knew that they were going on a big family trip to Europe. And so he held out and waited to pop the big question when they were in Paris in front of the Eiffel Tower. Even though he could have asked her earlier, he waited for a really awesome time and place. And I really believe that this is what Jesus was up to. He knew all along that he was going to ask these young guys to make a huge commitment. But for their sake, he waited. He spent time with them. He taught them. He laughed with them and shared meals and invited them along on so many different trips to different places, and he included them in what he was doing, all building up to this time when he would ask them to make one of the most important decisions of their life. So I want to take a look at how the rest of that big conversation went. It's in Luke chapter 5, verses 4 through 11. It goes like this. When he had finished speaking, he said to Simon, "Now go out where it's deeper and let down your nets to catch some fish." "Master," Simon replied, "we worked hard all night last night and we didn't catch a thing. But if you say so, I'll let the nets down again." And this time, their nets were so full of fish that they began to tear. A shout for help brought their partners in the other boat, and soon both boats were filled with fish and they were on the verge of sinking. Well, when Simon Peter realized what had happened, he fell to his knees before Jesus and he said, "Oh, Lord, please leave me. I'm such a sinful man," because he was awestruck by the number of fish that they had caught. And so were all the other people that were there with him. His partners, James and John's and the sons of Zebedee, were also amazed. And Jesus replied to Simon, "Don't be afraid. From now on, you'll be fishing for people." And as soon as they landed, they left everything and they followed Jesus. This was a big day, the day that Jesus called them to embrace a new mission, to have a new sense of purpose, to rearrange their lives to be about his plans. But it's so important that you realize it didn't just start right here, right? Just like Jesse and Katie didn't get married the very first day they met. So with Jesus, it can honestly look very similar. You spend time with him, you have those awkward conversations, learning how to pray and talk and listen to him. You hang out with other people that know him and you learn from them, and a number of other things. If you're curious about Jesus and you want to get to know him, or maybe you do know him and you just want to get to know him better, we would love to help. We have a free weekly guide service available where we send out all sorts of useful tips and ideas to help you. And all you have to do is click the link in the description and get signed up. And if you like this out-of-the-box approach to learning the Bible, please make sure you subscribe to this channel, like the video, share it, you know all the stuff to do. And go on over and check out what we're all about, including more videos and blogs on our website at jointhejourneychurch.com. And we're excited that you guys are with us. We're looking forward to seeing you next week from wherever we are.